Hi, I'm Amy, and today we're going to work on building range of motion and shoulder strength. Shoulder range of motion and strength. So let's talk about alignment first. And I think it's very important before you start doing anything with significant weight bearing that you're really working on moving towards good alignment first. So let's talk about what that looks like. Some alignment points to think about are, a big one is the collarbones. And the collarbones, when you're in ideal alignment, should be very level to the floor. If they are in a big V, very angled, that means you've got some work to do to bring those down. It doesn't mean you can't start moving into exercises, but you've got to be thinking about that at the same time and doing some stretching to bring the shoulders down. It likely means that these muscles up top here are really tight, because that's, in order for me to create an angle, I've got to contract this muscle up here. So that would be one of the big ones. Also, when your arms are hanging relaxed at your sides and your weights in your heels, the arms should fall so the middle finger comes to the seam. So whenever you're standing and relaxing, talking to someone, try to train your arms to fall in this place. If they tend, and a lot of people, they tend to fall forward. So we tend to be really tight through the chest from a lot of forward work and not a lot of open arm work or movement. So if the chest is tight, that often means that the muscles on the back of the body are very elongated and likely also tight. So getting your shoulders so they fall in that line with the ankle straight up. And then finally, the head. So in a lot of people with a lot of forward work, the head tends to fall forward and things get tight through the chest and the throat. So bringing the head back and making sure when you bring the head back that you're not letting the rib cage thrust forward. The rib cage stays down, the chin comes back, and the top of the head goes up to lengthen. So these are some things to think about as you move into the exercises. Always thinking about the shoulders being down as far away from the ears as is comfortable for you right now, and continually working on that. So we're going to talk about progressing into greater weight bearing through the shoulders. And this is very important to create strength safely. So let's start by using the wall. And this is a good option too, if you don't have time to get down on the floor. Just use the wall to create a little bit of strength and motion through the shoulders. So let's start first by, well, before we do that, actually, let's warm up a little bit. It's a good idea just to create a little blood flow and wake things up a little bit, and just doing some swinging. Okay, so get your weight in your heels, create some stability through your core, and then let the arms swing back and forth. And not a really huge range of motion, just whatever feels comfortable, not forcing into the end range. And then as things start to warm up a little bit, you can just push a little bit more right up to that edge of your range of motion. Remember to keep the shoulders relaxed, the chin in, the top of the head raising high. So much of what's connected to your shoulder blades is also connected in your neck. Okay, now let's change it up a little bit. Let's just go into a more reciprocal motion. Again, starting with a small pendulum and then working it up. When you figure out what a safe range is, if you're feeling a lot of clicks and pops, then back it off a little bit until you have kind of worked through those, and then nudge back in that direction. You don't want to be pushing hard through anything that feels tight or anything that's clicking. You can start to create some inflammation and create a problem. Okay. If you naturally want to go like this and it's harder to go like this, then you probably have some tension in your chest. Okay, so let's go across the body. Just switch the top hand each time you go. And just, again, start with that small pendulum and work your way up. Bring the arms up a little bit higher, but the shoulders still down away from the ears. Again, we're just Working on getting some blood flow in there. Okay, I'm just gonna switch it up one more time. And then we can start on the wall. So let's start with the hands in an open position like this. If you have a lot of wrist stuff, then you can use fists on the wall. It's not quite as comfortable, I don't think, but you can also go back and forth between them. You don't have to stay in one or the other the whole time. So we're going to take just a little bit greater than an arm length step. We're going to put the hands at shoulder height and then just start creating that range of motion. So we're gently leaning in, and it's more about range than strength at the moment. So my fingers are pointing up right now. I can also point them a little bit out to the side. That puts the shoulder in just a slightly different position. And if that feels pretty good, then you can start building the strength by taking a step back. Leaning into it. And then we'll progress to a little bit more strength, stepping back again. And how do you know when you're ready to do this? You always want to feel just lightly challenged. You don't want to be working extremely hard. You want to ease into building shoulder strength. If you do this for several repetitions, and by several, for some people, 10 can be several. For some people, 20 or 30 is going to be several. For some people, even more. You want to get to a point where you feel a little bit of fatigue in some part of your body when you're doing this. It might be in the shoulders, but it might also be in your core or somewhere else. So give your body time to adapt before you move on. So always start with two-handed exercises, and then you can progress to one at a time. So we'll take a little bit more than arm length step away, and then we're just going to do rotating open, rotating closed. Rotating open, rotating closed. But we're leaning into it the entire time, the shoulders down away from the ears. We can increase that a little by taking a little bit more step away. Rotate forward, rotate open. Another option is leaning in, taking the opposite arm and reaching through, reaching open, reaching through. And that actually feels really good on my shoulder. It's a nice stretch, but I'm also getting that weight bearing. We're trying to get everything to glide separately in the shoulder. And then let's do the other side. So we'll do the left hand. We'll lean in, take a little bit greater than arm length step away, and then just do some stepping forward, stepping back, really trying to keep that shoulder in good alignment. And it's just occurring to me that I forgot to include one more alignment point. And we will do that here after we finish this. So then step the feet together, step through, and open. Reach through and open. Let's do a few of these. And then let's talk about the shoulder blades. Okay, in the shoulder blades can come very close together or close to the spine, or they can be further apart. So starting at the wall, push into the wall and try to spread your shoulder blades as far apart as you can or away from your spine, and then let them come together. Squeezing them towards each other or towards the spine, and not up, but just keep the shoulders down and towards each other. And keep your elbows mostly straight and practice going back and forth. Your position of greater stability is going to be with the shoulder blades wider and not forward, not creating a rounded chest, but an open chest and the shoulder blades far apart from each other. That's your greater position of stability, which we will look at when we're down on the ground. So I'm going to adjust my camera and then we're going to go down on the mat. Okay, so let's start with, for some people, doing weight-bearing exercises on the hands can be really uncomfortable. And just like using the wall, you can use a fist or you can use a flat hand. Either one is okay, whatever you can tolerate, or you can go back and forth. If you have a lot of carpal tunnel symptoms, or it's just really uncomfortable and you're still building your strength in your wrists, then you can start with some weight bearing into the shoulders through the forearms or through the elbows. And the progression would be to start on your knees and lean back, lean forward, doing the rotation through the greatest range of motion that your body can tolerate. And it may be a very small range of motion at first, and then slowly working on building that range of motion, staying on your knees. So back and forth. Remember, the shoulders are relaxed, they're down away from the ears. And then we can also progress from two sides to one side, keeping the hip on the ground for now, stacking the shoulder over the elbow, keep the other hand in front to assist, and then practicing a lift and down. We'll go up and down about 5 times, but it's not about number of repetitions. Again, it's about when do your muscles fatigue? When do you feel appropriately fatigued, not completely exhausted? Okay, and then our next progression on one side would be do the lift and reach it through and open it up and reach it through. This creates more movement as you're creating stability. So we get more of a glide of more muscles. Okay, so the next level up here would be, you're going to stretch your legs out straight. I like my top leg in front and then lift. And so you can do just repetitions of lifting, or you can do reaching through. Okay, let's do the other side before we move on to increasing the challenge. Okay, so stack the shoulder and then just lift from the hip. Use this arm to, your front arm, to assist you as you need to. If you don't need to assist, the arm can go here, or you can add another stretch through your shoulder. Up and down. And then you can try being up and then reach it through. As many repetitions of that as feels comfortable for your body. And then also trying the straight leg lift, either an assist or not, whatever feels right for you. Okay, then we'll go to the next progression, which would be hands and knees. So if it's too much through the hands, you can always shift the weight back a little more and decrease the pressure through the wrists and hands. And then going back and forth through whatever range of motion feels comfortable for you. Okay, in a fist or through the hands, creating that range. Always keeping in good alignment. And then progressing on the knees to more of a side position. So knee underneath the hip and the hand underneath the shoulder in an open hand or a fist. And then creating either just a static hold here or working on, again, that dynamic movement, opening and closing. And then you can also progress this to this, but we will do that in a moment. Let's go to the other side. Okay, so you can always do most of your repetitions with the knee down, and then you can experiment with taking the knee away as you get stronger. Okay, so let's go back to the weight bearing through the hands. This time our progression up is going to be to come off the knees. And then you may not be able to do as many repetitions this way, but just like I said, you can do several with your knees down, a couple with your knees up, and then eventually you'll gain strength and be able to do several this way, slowly increasing the range that you're moving in. We're always trying to increase that range of motion to what is truly available to our bodies and creating functional strength within that entire range of motion. And that's when our bodies are the healthiest and more prepared for whatever life brings our way. Okay, so the one-handed would be to come up and then do your dynamic motion. One side. And even if you can just get a couple repetitions in, that is so much better than no repetitions. Okay, our next level up here is going to be doing weight bearing with the arms behind or our body face up. So I'm going to start with let's start with the fingers pointing outward. And then the lower progression is to just slide yourself forward and backward. Again, keeping the shoulders down, don't let them hike up by the ears. The next level up would be to lift the bottom off the ground. And you can do this on fists as well. And try pointing your fingers in different directions. And that's going to pull a little bit differently into your shoulder. Definitely your wrist and forearm. You can try pointing the fingers away, rocking back and forth, just creating that glide. Okay, another couple options when you're really ready to increase the strength and the dynamic movement in your shoulders are transitions. Okay, so this creates, you have to create that stability, and then we're going to load that shoulder quite a bit more. So I'm going to put my right foot underneath my left and bring my left around. And then I'm going to go back. And we're going to go to the other side, and then we'll go back. So you really have to make sure you're pushing down, so you're keeping that shoulder away from the ear, so you don't create torque in a wrong position. The next and final level up, and good for the entire body, the core, the legs, is crawling. And starting with, I'm going to start with my right hand close to my right leg, creating that reciprocal motion. Okay, so crawling with the knees down is the starter level. And the definitely more challenging is with the knees up. Hi, Boo. Okay, so I'm going to start back with my right hand and my right leg together, and then I'm going to lift my knees off the ground just a little bit. And that creates a lot more weight bearing because you're transitioning the weight from one hand to another. Okay, so let's do a couple stretches to wrap up. I think it's really important to get big open shoulder stretches. An easy way to do this any time of day is just to reach back, pull your shoulders down away from your ears, pull your shoulder blades together, and interlace your fingers and just open and lift. You can add a little bend to get a little more pull through there. But anytime you're just up walking to go get a glass of water, stretch your shoulders. Stretch in that open position. Another option, if you have a strap, a scarf, a towel, anything, you can do this in sitting or standing at your computer. Open, keep the shoulders down away from the ears, and just open the chest by just pulling back and letting gravity do the work to pull the arms down. Another good option with your towel is to put it in one hand, drop it behind your back, hold this way. When you come out of it, let the lower arm down, bring the elbow down, then do the other side. And just nudging the arms towards each other, not putting a lot of pressure in the shoulders, just enough to create a gentle stretch. Hold it, breathe. You want to hold your stretches for at least 30 seconds. Then let that arm slide down, bring the arm down. A much deeper stretch, and one of my favorites to do on the ground. Let's come all the way down to the tummy. Open up the arm. You can start a little bit lower, just knowing what your range is, and then rolling in that direction gently until you feel that nice chest stretch. You can do the same stretch on the wall. And we'll practice that in a minute. This feels great. You may not have as much range of motion as I do, so take it slow, take it easy, explore and feel what feels good. So let's come back up and do that with the wall. I'm going to adjust my camera a little bit. So standing at the wall, I would start a little bit lower. Bring your opposite foot back and just open the chest until you feel a nice stretch. Relax your body. Hold that for 20, 30 seconds. Come a little bit higher and then open. Feel that nice deep shoulder stretch, but again, a gentle stretch, nothing harsh. And then do the other side. One shoulder might feel tighter than the other, so take it slow. My right shoulder always feels a little bit tighter. An old injury from high school playing volleyball. Okay, let's wrap it up here. Again, our ultimate purpose is to be able to use the full amazing range of motion that we have available to our bodies and access that on a regular basis so that we maintain enough strength there to be functional in our daily lives and be able to handle whatever life tends to throw at us, which we never quite know what that's going to be. So thank you for participating. Have a great day.